There's a question that haunts every human being at some point. Why am I suffering? What does this pain mean? And you search for the answer like it's hidden somewhere, waiting to be discovered. Like there's some cosmic explanation that will suddenly make it all make sense. But I'm going to tell you something that might disturb you. Suffering doesn't come with meaning attached. It doesn't arrive with an instruction manual. The universe doesn't hand you a note that says, here's why this is happening. The meaning of your suffering is not something you find. It's something you create. And that terrifies people. Because it means you're responsible. You can't wait for meaning to appear. You have to forge it yourself. I learned this on my third day in Auschwitz. I was standing in the freezing cold, watching smoke rise from the chimneys. And I knew what that smoke was. Who that smoke was. And a man next to me, a rabbi, whispered, "Why? Why would God allow this?" And I had no answer. Because there was no answer. No explanation that could make sense of this. No cosmic reason that could justify it. And I realized something in that moment that changed everything. I could spend my remaining days, however many they were, searching for why this was happening. Or I could spend them deciding what I was going to do with it. And that's the difference between being destroyed by suffering and being transformed by it. The difference isn't in understanding why it happened. The difference is in choosing what you'll make of it. Because here's the truth that no one wants to hear. Sometimes there is no why. Sometimes terrible things happen for no reason. Randomly. Senselessly. Unfairly. And you can spend your entire life demanding an explanation from a universe that doesn't owe you one. Or you can accept that the why doesn't matter as much as the what now. Think about it. You're suffering right now. I don't know what your suffering is. Maybe it's loss. Maybe it's betrayal. Maybe it's illness. Maybe it's loneliness. But you're suffering. And you're asking why. Why me? Why this? Why now? And those questions lead nowhere. They spiral endlessly into bitterness and confusion. But what if you asked different questions? What if you asked, what can I do with this? What can I learn from this? What can I become because of this? How can I use this pain to create something valuable? These questions don't remove the pain. They don't make the suffering disappear. But they transform it. They take something meaningless and give it purpose. They take something that's destroying you and turn it into something that's building you. Not because the suffering itself is good, but because you decided to make something good from it. Let me tell you about a woman I knew in the camps. Her name was Edith. She was a pianist. Classically trained. Beautiful hands. And one day during a work detail, a guard smashed her fingers with a rifle butt. Deliberately. Cruelly. Just because he could. And those hands, those instruments of beauty, were destroyed. She would never play again. And for weeks, she was silent. Dead inside. Going through the motions of survival but not really alive. And I thought she would give up. I thought she would walk to the fence like so many others did. But then one day, I saw her teaching a young girl a melody. Not playing it. She couldn't play anymore. But singing it. Teaching her the notes. The rhythm. The feeling. And I asked her later, how can you do this? How can you create music when your ability to create it was taken from you? And she said something I'll never forget. She said, they broke my hands. But they didn't break music. Music still exists. Beauty still exists. And if I can't create it with my hands anymore, I'll create it with my voice. With my teaching. With my memory. They took my instrument. But they can't take my purpose. Unless I let them. And that's what I mean by creating meaning. Edith didn't find meaning in her suffering. There was no meaning in having your hands destroyed by a sadist. That was pure cruelty. Pure evil. But she created meaning by deciding what she would do with it. She decided that suffering would not be the end of beauty in her life. It would be the beginning of a different kind of beauty. And that decision, that act of creation, saved her life. Not physically, though she did survive. But spiritually. It saved her from becoming a victim of meaninglessness. Because here's what happens when you don't create meaning from your suffering. It destroys you. Not the suffering itself, but the meaninglessness of it. Suffering without meaning is unbearable. It's poison. It makes you bitter, angry, resentful. It makes you feel like a victim of a cruel and random universe. And that feeling, that sense of cosmic injustice, that eats away at your soul until there's nothing left but rage and despair. But suffering with meaning? That's different. That's bearable. Not easy. Never easy. But possible. Because when your suffering has meaning, when it's producing something valuable, when it's teaching you something, when it's making you into someone better, stronger, more compassionate, then it's not just suffering anymore. It's a crucible. It's a forge. It's the fire that's burning away everything weak and false and leaving only what's real and strong and true. I see people today, and they're waiting. Waiting for their suffering to make sense. Waiting for someone to explain it. Waiting for time to heal it. Waiting for the universe to give them a reason. And they wait and nothing comes. Because nothing is coming. The meaning isn't out there. It's in here. Inside you. Waiting to be created. Waiting for you to decide what you're going to make of this pain. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Victor, some suffering is too great. Some pain is too much. There's no meaning that could possibly justify what I've been through. And you're right. There's no meaning that justifies it. But there's meaning that can be created from it. Not because it justifies the suffering, but because it redeems it. It takes something that was pure destruction and transforms it into something constructive. It takes something that diminished you and uses it to expand you. Let me give you an example. After the war, I could have been consumed by hatred. I had every reason. My mother, my father, my brother, my wife, all murdered. Everything taken. And I could have spent the rest of my life angry, bitter, seeking revenge. And no one would have blamed me. That would have been justified. But what would that have accomplished? It would have let them win. Not physically. They were already dead or imprisoned. But spiritually. It would have let them turn me into something as dark as they were. It would have let them destroy not just my past, but my future too. So I made a different choice. I chose to create meaning from that suffering. I chose to take everything I learned in those camps and use it to help people. To develop a therapeutic approach that could give people hope when they felt hopeless. To teach people that no matter what's been taken from them, they still have the freedom to choose their attitude, their response, their meaning. And that choice, that act of creation, transformed my suffering from a curse into a gift. Not because the suffering was good, but because I made something good from it. And you can do the same. Whatever you're suffering through right now, you have a choice. You can let it break you. Or you can let it make you. You can let it embitter you. Or you can let it deepen you. You can let it close your heart. Or you can let it open your heart to others who are suffering. You can let it be the worst thing that ever happened to you. Or you can let it be the thing that finally woke you up to what really matters. But you have to choose. Meaning doesn't just happen. It's not delivered to your door. It's not revealed in a dream. You have to create it. And creating it requires action. It requires decision. It requires you to look at your pain and ask, what am I going to do with this? How am I going to use this? What am I going to build from these ruins? I remember another moment in the camps. We were in a barracks, late at night. And a man, a philosopher before the war, was giving what might have been his last lecture. We knew he was dying. We could all see it. And he stood there, barely able to stand, and he talked about Socrates. About how Socrates chose death with dignity rather than life with compromise. And someone asked him, "What's the point? Why are you teaching us philosophy when we're all about to die anyway?" And he smiled. This dying man smiled. And he said, "Because this is what gives my death meaning. I was a teacher. I taught people to think. And I will die as I lived. Teaching. Creating meaning until the last breath." And he died 2 days later. But his death wasn't meaningless. He made it meaningful. He chose what it would mean. And in doing so, he showed all of us that even death, even the ultimate suffering, can have meaning if you create it. So what meaning are you creating from your suffering? What are you building from your pain? Are you using it to become more compassionate? Are you using it to help others who are suffering? Are you using it to appreciate what you have? Are you using it to clarify what matters? Are you using it to strip away everything false and discover what's real? Or are you just enduring it? Just surviving it? Just waiting for it to end? Because endurance without meaning is just prolonged agony. But endurance with meaning? That's heroism. That's transformation. That's the difference between being broken by life and being forged by it. And here's something most people don't realize. The act of creating meaning from suffering doesn't just help you. It helps everyone who witnesses it. When people see someone transform their pain into purpose, it gives them hope. It shows them that suffering doesn't have to be the end. That even the worst circumstances can become the raw material for something beautiful. That you can take hell and make heaven from it. Not literally, but spiritually. In your heart. In your life. In your legacy. I've spent decades working with people who were suicidal. Hopeless. Convinced their suffering was meaningless. And the thing that saved most of them wasn't medication. Wasn't therapy techniques. It was helping them see that they could create meaning from their pain. That their suffering, as terrible as it was, could become the foundation for something valuable. Could become their life's work. Their purpose. Their contribution. One man I remember had lost his son to suicide. And he came to me destroyed. Completely destroyed. And he said, "There's no point anymore. My son is gone. Nothing matters." And I didn't argue with him. I didn't try to convince him to feel differently. I just asked him one question. "What would give your son's death meaning?" And he looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, "You can't bring him back. But you can decide what his death means. You can let it mean nothing. Just a tragedy. Just a loss. Or you can let it mean something. What could it mean?" And he was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I don't want other parents to go through this." And I said, "Then don't let them. Use your pain to help them. Create something from this loss. Not because it justifies the loss, but because it redeems it." And he left. And 6 months later he came back. And he had started a support group for parents of children struggling with mental health. And he told me, "It doesn't bring my son back. Nothing will. But it makes his death mean something. It takes the worst thing that ever happened to me and turns it into something that helps people. And that gives me a reason to keep living." That's what I mean by creating meaning. You take the raw material of suffering and you forge it into purpose. You take the question, "Why did this happen?" and you transform it into the statement, "This is what I'll do with it." You stop being a passive victim of circumstances and become an active creator of meaning. And the beautiful thing is, once you understand this, once you really internalize it, you become unbreakable. Not because nothing can hurt you, but because you know that whatever hurts you, you can transform it. Whatever breaks you, you can rebuild yourself stronger. Whatever is taken from you, you can create something new. You're no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You're at the mercy of your own creativity, your own choice, your own meaning-making capacity. And that capacity is infinite. There's no suffering so great that meaning can't be created from it. There's no loss so profound that purpose can't emerge from it. There's no pain so deep that transformation can't happen within it. As long as you're alive, as long as you're conscious, you have the ability to create meaning. And that ability is your ultimate freedom. The one freedom that can never be taken from you. The one power that belongs to you alone. So stop searching for the meaning of your suffering. Stop waiting for someone to explain it. Stop demanding that the universe justify it. It won't. It can't. Meaning doesn't work that way. Meaning is not found in suffering. It's created from suffering. By you. Through your choices. Through your actions. Through your decision to take something that diminished you and use it to expand you. To take something that closed you and use it to open you. To take something that destroyed and use it to build. That's your task. Not to understand why you suffer, but to decide what you'll make of it. Not to find meaning waiting for you, but to create meaning through your response. And when you do that, when you truly embrace that responsibility, suffering loses its power to destroy you. Because you've turned it into something else entirely. You've turned it into your teacher. Your forge. Your path to becoming who you were always meant to be. And that transformation, that act of creation, is the ultimate victory over suffering. Not because the pain goes away, but because you've made it mean something. And meaning, my friend, is everything.